Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. The Popcorn Talk Network and producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and Phil Svitek. This is iTalk Movies. Long-form interviews with leading members of the film industry. And now, your host of iTalk Movies.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of iTalk Movies. I'm Cathy Kelley. Joining me today is the stunning actress Sabina Gadecki. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for that wonderful intro.
You are gorgeous, though. And so I did my research, and I know that you're actually very, very smart as well. International business degree from Fordham.
I'm impressed and grateful that you brought that up because, you know, I'm falling into these stereotypes, being a blonde girl in the Entourage movie, and you know, I'm playing a pretty typical LA blonde girl, and I'm like, God, I really hope people know that I have an education, and
I am such a fan of that, though, like, that you do have that education background.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, I come from, my family's from Poland, and I've always wanted to act my entire life.
Yeah.
And my parents are like, whatever makes you happy, follow your dreams. You know, they're so supportive, but the one thing I was like, you know, I don't have a fallback plan. You know, I better go to college. I better go to college, and you know, and I did have a genuine interest in it. So I said, you know, I went to college for international business and took a little break in between.
Yeah.
I went to an acting conservatory in New York, and then right before I moved to LA, I was like, I better graduate. Like 2 classes left. I'm like, if I don't graduate, I never will. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, of course. I do want to talk about Entourage and everything that you're doing right now. We bring it back to the very beginning, so how you got your start in the industry. I know that I heard you started dancing at a very young age, and you said you were always interested in being involved in the industry, but since there are so many people that have those aspirations, was there like a pivotal moment when you're like, this is actually what I want to do?
I mean, I just remember it being the only thing I've ever wanted to do, and I'm from this little town in Massachusetts called Chicopee, Massachusetts, and you know, my family wasn't in it. I just had no idea where to begin. I didn't have the context, the connections, the resources at all in my hometown, so it was, you know, went through high school and everything, and I just couldn't wait to just have that opportunity to be in a city where those, you know, resources were available to me. So I've worked very, very hard, very, very hard, and I'm just super excited for the movie. It's an exciting time for me. I've worked hard to get here.
Yeah, this seems like a milestone in your career, especially the Entourage movie.
Yeah, I feel, you know, acting's so tough because you sort of, you know, I've been working for years, and I'm so grateful for that, but, you know, I've done, you know, Law and Order and White Collar and House of Lies and The League, and you do these are all stepping stones, and this is definitely something I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. So not having anyone in your family involved in the industry, how did you navigate everything? How did you learn how to find a manager, agent, those kind of things?
You know, when I first moved to New York, I did this acting program through NYU, and I remember they had agents come in and were kind of scouting the classes, and I didn't know. I was so naive. I didn't know what these opportunities were, and I remember I got an agent rather quickly in New York, but I didn't realize like how lucky I was for that. I didn't realize how lucky I was for that, and now I really have such a strong appreciation because I've really been doing it for, you know, for a minute now, and that's, I've got my first agent in New York, and you know, from there I've worked into, you know, hey, do you know a great manager and who I could work with, and now I'm super excited. I have an amazing team. I love my agents and managers and my publicists, and I'm grateful to finally have that all together because it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. And you said your parents were super supportive of your decision to go into acting.
Yep.
What was the first role that you booked where they're like, oh yeah, our daughter's she's gonna be a success?
I mean, my parents are probably the most wonderful people you could ever meet, and I think my parents thought I was going to be a success when I booked the cover of like a glow stick box when I was like 10 years old, and they like thought it was the coolest thing in the world. They bring that. I think they still show it to people and be like, they're so proud of every little thing. Has always been a super exciting thing to them.
Awesome.
They've always been very, very excited for the little steps along the way. So.
And they're both Polish, so you grew up speaking Polish. That was your first language.
Yes, it was my first language, and I was like a little like rebel in school because, I didn't speak English when I went to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And my parents I would come home and they would speak to me in Polish, and I was like, I didn't want to. I was like refusing to. I was like, why do my friends all speak English and I don't know how to speak it? I actually had to take English as a second language, which is ironic being, born and raised here, but I'm so grateful for it now. And my niece, actually, who's now second generation born here, my parents only speak to her in Polish, which is nice.
Really?
Hopefully my kids speak it too one day.
Yeah. And can you teach us something?
Let me see.
I'm sure you get that question all the time.
It's a challenge. I mean, instantly when someone asks you that, you immediately think of the inappropriate things. Like
we want to know the inappropriate things. That's what I love. I love learning bad words.
Let's see. That's all my mind is going to right now.
That's I know that one.
Cześć is hello.
That's
you said it
that's very
perfectly.
PG.
Jak się masz? How are you?
Okay.
It's not a very sexy language, but I'm grateful that I can speak it.
Yes. So when you did land some of your first roles in New York, I know your first feature film was Freaky Deaky, correct?
Yes.
So what was it like? Did you just have this revelation, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be more of a film actor, or do you want to do both?
I would love to. I mean, gosh, it's anything. I mean, just to be working, to wake up and go to work as an actor when it's something you've dreamed about for so long is just like the best feeling, in the world. But film is really my passion, and I'd like to sort of do comedies too. I love comedies. So
Yeah.
But the funny thing about the Freaky Deaky thing that you bring up is I remember I had gone in, I auditioned for that, and I had just moved to LA, and I remember sitting there at that audition, and I looked around, and I'm like, I literally look like every girl in this room. We were all sort of the same version. We all have blonde hair and green eyes, and I'm like, how the heck am I going to stand out from all these girls? So I went outside, I distanced myself before going in. I didn't want to be around, negative energy or whatever. And I went in, and I hoped I had done a good job. And then the following week, I was in Brazil for a wedding of a friend of ours. And I got a call, and they're like, you have a call back for this movie. And that was one of the biggest things I had been out for. Was, Christian Slater was in it. It was a great cast. So
Billy Burke.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was so excited. And I'm like, I'm going to fly back from Brazil for this callback. And everyone's like, that's crazy. You can't do that.
It's just a callback.
It's a callback. You're not going to do that. And I was like, well, it's a great opportunity. So I had those flip cameras. And I set up my flip camera, and I went in this mini bathroom in Brazil in my hotel. And I set my flip camera up, and I call my acting coach in LA. I was like, you got to do me this big favor. Can you Skype the lines with me? Can you read these lines with me on Skype? And here I'm trying to set up, the camera to be eye level with my coach, who's clearly his voice is 100% altered. It's so clear there's not another person in the room. I'm in a bathroom. It's echoing. So I did my callback in the room on this video camera with my coach in LA, and I'm really happy that worked out.
That's dedication, though.
I was dedicated. I was focused. I was ready to fly back. I was like, I can't pass this up.
But I feel like that's a lot of the reason why certain people succeed is because they have that drive and they don't give up, and they don't make excuses like, oh, well, I'll wait for the next call back.
It's challenging because even when I was that day, it was my first day in Brazil. I've never been there, and everybody that was there for the wedding went sightseeing, and it's not like you'd think, oh, I'll just tape this really quick, but it's, it takes 4 hours to do. Ultimately, you have to, print your lines out, memorize your lines, send them over, edit your video,
find
upload it, find Wi-Fi, get a good connection, a business center, all these things. There's those moments where you want to be like, oh, I'll wait for the next opportunity, but it can be a fickle business sometimes, and you got to work hard and can't really pass up on everyone when you just want to be lazy like I did that day.
What was your experience like making that transition from New York to LA? Because I know, for me personally, you come here and you're like, wow, everyone is gorgeous. Where where do you fit in, but did you have a similar experience?
I didn't want to move.
Okay.
At all. I was like, I don't want to come here. I was like, I'm obsessed with New York. I mean, I just love New York so much. But it had come to that point in my life. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I should be there. And the transition was hard at first because I came out here and it's challenging because you're like, where do you meet? Like you're like,
genuine
where do you meet
people.
friends?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not in college anymore. So I'm like, where do I meet friends? And I feel so lucky. Have an awesome group out here, but it was definitely challenging at first. It would be like my first month here. My mom's like, how do you like LA? I was like, I mean, like the only human interaction I really have is with like people at like Starbucks and the grocery store. Like I have like zero friends here, but I do love it now. I miss New York. I think that's, I do miss New York a lot. I just love that city, but I do love LA too. I feel like a lot of people can't say that for both cities. It's either like one or the other, and I like that. I like both.
They both have their perks.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
I mean, the day outside, you can't complain. I mean, it's like a hot, nice, beautiful day.
Exactly. So I know, I mean, LA can be challenging when you move out here, but meeting the right group of people. We were talking earlier about how we both go to the same Bible study randomly. How small of a world is that?
How funny that we've never I'm sure we've like crossed paths.
Seen each other. Yeah, there's so many people there now.
I mean, it's blown up.
500 people.
Yeah, I mean, it started, there was like 30,
Yeah.
and then now there's like 600, it's become quite an ordeal, but how funny. Now we can go together. We can go
Sit
to
next
Bible
each other.
study.
Can we see buddies?
Yeah, deal. We see
Awesome.
bunnies, and then later on we can have our little girl Bible study.
I love it. So do you attribute that to making friends at all? I know you've been out here for several years now.
Yeah,
so.
I've met some really, really amazing people there. Like, just a wonderful group of people, just from all walks of life. And, not just actors, which is, so often in LA. It's like everywhere you go, everyone's an actor. It's been great. I'm sure, I don't know if you found the same, but just
completely.
everyone, like, there's just... Some of my closest friends are from there.
But also, when you are an actor, it's kind of hard to meet people outside the industry because if you're working, like, it almost consumes your whole life.
Yeah, that's true. I'm like, half of my friends are actors, but it's definitely been nice. Bible studies definitely expanded the friend group for sure.
Yes. So I do want to talk about Entourage because it is such a hyped up movie, but definitely worthy of all of that hype. How long ago did you find out that you booked this role? And I want to find out about the process, all of that.
Well, the first audition I actually had for the movie, it was a self-tape. They asked me to self-tape for it. And then I got a call back, but for a totally different character.
Really?
So I went in again for a totally different character. And then I had a call back again for a different character. So now I've gone in 3 times for 3 different girls.
Clearly they liked you, though. That's a good sign.
I was like, let's just hope that this works out. And then Kevin Connolly and I were just acquaintances. We've known each other for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Just like in passing. We were Facebook friends. And I remember I had a chemistry read with him. And one of my friends is like, Facebook, say you're coming out. You're going in for the chemistry read. I was like, no, because... If I get it, then I'll feel like there's favoritism, and then if I don't get it, I'll just be embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say anything, So I go into the chemistry read, and I see him, and he's like, Sabina, how's it going? And it was great. He made me feel very welcome and comfortable, and especially like I said before, when you're sitting in a room of like all the girls going out for the exact, you all look alike.
Yeah.
It was definitely nerve-wracking, but then I had another audition after that. That was my 4th one. And my 5th time, I actually went to the table read at Warner Brothers, and I'll talk about like being nervous. There was cameras everywhere set up because they were recording it for the DVD. So I show up, and they're recording it, and it's the entire cast, and I speak my first line in it. I'm like hoping that Kevin is next to me, but he's like 20 feet away from me. We play each other's love interest in the film, so we're so far from each other, and I'm like, I mean, how am I? I'm still trying to get the job.
How do you portray this? Yeah.
And I'm still trying to get the job, and it's supposed to be this like intimate moment, and I'm like, he's 20 feet away from me. I'm like, I mean, I really just hope this works out. So I'm glad it did. It was, that's the thing that people don't realize. Like, oh, you just booked it. You just went in, but like, to even get in for your first audition, you're already,
so much that goes into
competing
that.
against so many people even for your first audition. So it's. I'm really, really excited about the movie. I think it's going to be fun.
And I think that this movie, since it does have so much hype and since they had so many fans coming off of the show, it's almost that much more coveted of a role or like being able to be involved in the project.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. It was actually, when you talk about the fan base, it's cool because last night they had a screening at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
And to sit, it was the first time I was able to watch the film and be in a screening with people who were fans of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a lively audience. Everyone was laughing and enjoying it. I mean, people were. It was definitely really cool to be there and to be a part of it too. I'm really excited to be a part of something so, so epic.
Yeah. Did you watch the show when it was on air?
I did. I did. But I'm really. I never really watched a lot of TV growing up. So I watched 20 episodes probably total, but I wasn't a regular adamant watcher. But that's just because I didn't watch really anything. My parents discouraged that. No TV watching, so.
You have to get your work done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was like, it's something I don't really watch a lot of TV, but I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. Did you have to do homework and go back and watch any episodes, or you just really got into your character?
I didn't want to because I didn't want to because it didn't really affect. If it affected the role that I was going in for, 100% would have, but it didn't. It really had nothing to do with the character.
She's a new character,
She's
obviously.
A new character. Yeah, so I was like, actually felt it was going to make me nervous if I started to watch the entire series and I became a fan.
I totally get
and then
that.
I walk into this table read, I just would have been, mortified. And so I didn't want to. I just made that choice not to, to not work myself up.
So tell us about, your character's name is Melanie, and I know that you mentioned you're glad that she's not just labeled as the blonde bombshell, even though you are.
It sounded like I was saying that about myself. I'm like,
no,
listen,
but you are. You're hot.
Well, thank you, but I was more just saying, typically the auditions and stuff that come my way are, the LA stereotypical
ditzy,
blonde, tan, So.
Well, we know even with some of the other girls that have been in the Entourage, Sloane is a very strong female character, but she's also gorgeous. So
she is beautiful, strikingly so.
So tell us about Melanie. What you can tell us.
Let me see. I'm trying to think of how to word this exactly. I think. Let me see. How can I word this without giving away too much? She's playing E's new love interest. Mm-hmm. She's a good girl. She's I'm really trying to tread lightly with what I do and don't say.
We don't want to get you in trouble.
I really of the 3 roles that I had auditioned for, this was the one that I wanted the most. Mm-hmm. She is my favorite character of a lot of the new girls that have come in, so I'm happy about that. But she's a good girl, and she kind of is smitten with E in the movie, and I really start to fall for him, and some stuff happens, and kind of I guess that's all I can say. Well, that was a vague answer.
Yeah, well, we're still excited to see it regardless. What was it like working with Doug Ellen, who created the series?
He's amazing, so wonderful. The one thing I can say, because I do think that this has been actually talked about before, and I know they did their press junket last weekend, so I have a sex scene. Okay. Which,
is that uncomfortable for you?
Yeah.
I can imagine, but
I have to say, in response to your Doug Ellen question, him, Kevin, everyone was so wonderful, so professional, made me feel so... my gosh, that could have... I was mortified going into that. And
was that your first sex scene?
Yeah, that was.
Crazy.
That was. And to make matters worse, I thought I had 3 weeks to prep. Mm-hmm. They're like, you're shooting in 3 weeks. I was like, all right. Trainer, nutritionist, gym every day. I'm like, I gotta get in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
Friday, 2 o'clock comes along. All of a sudden, my agent calls me. She's like, you're shooting on Monday. I was like, that's 2 days.
What do you do? Do you go on a juice cleanse?
I literally ate, I was on the treadmill and eating broccoli and on the treadmill and working out. I was running 10 miles a day. I was working out with this wonderful female trainer who was working with me, and she was just kicked my butt to the point that I had trouble walking.
So sore.
You can only do the best you can in 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I like grilled broccoli and
That's
cauliflower
stressful.
and ran a lot, and it was stressful. So honestly, when we got to the moment of like shooting, it was almost like, well, we're here now. It was almost like that's finally. It felt like a moment of like relief.
Yeah.
But yeah. But back to Doug Ellen, he's fantastic. I mean, he's given me such a wonderful opportunity. I feel so grateful for him just for believing in me and you know, wanting to work with me, and I just am feeling very, very grateful. And he's someone I've become very close to.
Yeah.
And he's just an awesome guy. He's an awesome guy.
That's good to
Only
hear.
positive things.
So I've heard in the past from other people, either that I've interviewed or listening to other interviews, that when you have like a sex scene or a kissing scene or something like that at the very beginning, it almost makes you so vulnerable that you're more open in the rest of your scenes. Did you feel that at all?
We filmed it last.
Oh, you did film it last.
Yeah.
Okay,
So actually, I think it was a good thing though, because we had, you know, like I said, I didn't really know Kevin that well, so it almost was a good thing. Like, had we done that first, it would have been really awkward.
Yeah.
But we'd become friends, you know, in that process, and he was so great to work with, and really, you know, in that scene itself. I mean, it was like. I mean, it was a little uncomfortable. I mean, it's not something we do every day, and people think it's like sexy and romantic, and it's not. It's so technical.
Yeah.
Like people are like shouting out like things like "move your hand here, move your hand there," and I felt very safe and protected in that space. But it's definitely strange. I mean, there's so many. You turn around and there's like, you know, 10 people in the room all working when they've got their booms, and it's definitely I was happy to have it over with. But it wasn't as bad as it could have been. You know, everyone definitely made me feel safe and protected. That's for sure.
Well, check that one off
Yeah,
the list.
that one's checked off the list. That's for sure.
The Entourage movie obviously has a lot of cameos in it as
Yeah.
well, from like sports people like Rob Gronkowski to I can't even name all of them.
I mean,
that would take up the entire interview.
Well,
but
I love Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
And he was filming the same day I was filming, and I like really wanted to sneak out and meet him because I just think he's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I'm mad that I didn't, because I thought that, you know, I would have snuck in there and be like, hi, I just want to introduce myself. I didn't. I regret that. But it was, you know, the movies, I think it lives up to the hype. You know, there are a lot of cameos, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's everyone, like, it's funny. It just adds to the comedy of the movie, and everyone's awesome. Like, all the cameos are just so fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great.
Other than Liam Neeson, is there an actor or a director or someone in the industry that you're just dying to work with?
Let's see. Well, someone I really admire, but they're actually a friend of mine, is Amy Schumer. Her and I studied together in New York.
You did one of her episodes of Inside Amy, right?
So we actually studied together. We went to an acting studio in New York when I took that college break. And then I did an episode of her show, and I just did a skit with her during the MTV Movie Awards that she just hosted. So she's definitely someone I would like to work with more, like on a movie.
She's hilarious.
She's awesome. Like,
how do you even like not break or whatever when you're working with her?
She's hilarious, but she's also just a good person. Like, just a good person, and humble and hardworking. I mean, has been working so hard from the very beginning. So I would actually like to work with her more. But I'm trying to think. I mean, like, there's like Meryl Streep, of course. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Meryl Streep?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, you know, of course, the classic Hollywood actors. Paul Rudd.
Oh, yeah.
And I love you, man. I mean, I'm sorry, he just cracks me up. I'd love to work with him one day. I mean, I'm like Amy Schumer, Paul Rudd, Meryl Streep. I'm just like,
I'm loving your choices, but
they're
all over the place.
They're just all over the place. Listen, I just would like to work with them all. So let's just hope I have a career, a really long one.
Is there someone in Hollywood whose career you hope to emulate or you really look up to?
I mean, I think every actor that just is able to transition from film and TV, just continue working. I think that's to continue to work in this industry and remain humble.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just look up to all actors. Listen, let's
we
be
get
honest.
to do this.
It's like
you get paid
crazy,
to have fun.
It's a crazy business. I look up to all actors who you know, stick to it and manage to make a career out of it.
You've obviously, along with the Entourage movie, you have a plethora of other roles, from Finding Carter and a ton of other things. But when you do get free time, how do you like to spend it?
I am so close with my family. It's kind of a bummer that they live so far away. So whenever I can, I hop on a plane and go back to Massachusetts to see them. So that's what I like to do. I like to hike. I just started surfing. I just started surfing. I'm not that good at it. I have some anxiety when I can't see down in the water.
Yeah.
When the water's dark, I have a lot of fear that something's going to come and bite my feet. So it's not a great thing for someone that's trying to be a surfer. So I've got to get through that.
I went paddleboarding the other week for the first time, and it was terrifying. Like being out in the middle of the ocean.
Well, just when there's darkness below you, that's what scares me. It just terrifies me. You don't know what's going on down there. It terrifies me. But it was just that's something I recently got into. I try to work out when I'm feeling motivated. That's what I do in my downtime too.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, just work out and just paddleboard.
I know you don't watch a lot of TV, but what are some of your favorite shows or movies?
I love Modern Family. I mean,
Staple.
It's just like hilarious to me. Something that I'm like can't believe that I'm admitting. I've never watched it before, and now I get what all the hype was about is The Bachelor.
It's one of my favorite shows.
I mean, for all these years, I was like, my girlfriend's like, want to come over? I'm like, no, I don't actually. It sounds terrible. And I, like, love it. I mean, I understand what all the hype is about now. Like, love it.
It's almost an outlet, so there's so much drama on the show that you don't have to have that in your own personal dating life, hopefully.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like it. Yeah,
Definitely.
I can live vicariously, just be like, let me watch your problems. Pretty having
And last question, I want to ask you, what is your top thing on your bucket list that's not acting related?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. I feel like I have a very long bucket list.
Okay.
I've done skydiving. I'm really adventurous. I'd like to go, I mean, this is so weird. I'd like to go, what is it called? Now I'm like, I'd like to do this thing. I can't think of the name of it.
Splunking. No, I don't
know. Actually,
Bungee
you nailed
jumping.
it.
I don't know.
No, in Alaska with the snow dogs.
Oh,
but what is it?
bobsledding? Dog sledding. You said bobsledding, and I was like, yeah. Yep.
Dog sledding. Okay. That would be fun.
Wow. That's crazy.
I've got to think of this. But something definitely like living on the edge, adventurous.
You're a yes person, though, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I like that.
And then I'm a yes person before I have time to think about it. So I said, yes, let's do it.
So you can't psych yourself out then.
Yeah, when I went skydiving, I was like, amazing idea, let's go. And then I was up there, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
But the only way out is...
I mean...
Down.
Or just really being a big cop-out. And I was like, I got to do this. I got to commit. I've said yes. So I'm going to, I am a yes person until push comes to shove. I get a little nervous.
So this brings us to our shameless plug section. Where can people see the Entourage movie, find you on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff?
Well, it's Sabina with my Polish last name, so Gadecki, Gadecki, for like, I know that's going to be complicated. It's my name on Instagram and Twitter, and the movie comes out June 3rd, which I'm very, very excited about. I mean, I can't even wait. It's coming so soon, and we filmed a year ago, and I was anticipating for so long, and here it is. So June 3rd, everyone go see Entourage, and you will not be disappointed with whether you were an Entourage fan beforehand or not. I think this is like a movie that everyone's going to love.
Cool. Well, Sabina, thank you so much for coming in today. This was such a pleasure. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley, on Instagram at Cathy Kelley. You can follow us here at The Popcorn Talk on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you can catch more iTalk movie episodes right here on our YouTube page.
Producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network. We would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
Hearing are those of the hosts only, not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners.